everyone, and welcome to Having to Roll podcast. My name is Oliver. I'm here with Robin.
Hello, everyone.
So it's hot, Robin, right?
It is really, really hot. Unless you haven't realized, recently in the UK, it has gotten very hot.
Yeah. So just a few updates for this episode, really, because there's not too much going on. But E3, Empire LARP E3 is imminent and approaching at a very rapid rate. I feel like it's been quicker coming around this time than it was the last time, if that makes any sense.
No, yeah, I agree. I feel like there was a huge gap between E1 and E2, and now I feel like we were just at E3 a couple of weekends ago.
Well, E2, yeah, E2. Yeah.
E2, sorry, yeah.
So hopefully the weather isn't going to be like it was recently, because I think I could probably cope with rain better than that heat.
I really don't want rain. But I don't want wind, and I don't want the heat that we've just had. I just want my perfect climate. Can that not just happen?
Yeah. Like today's not too bad because it's overcast and it's windy, but way better. Anyway, How are we prepared for E3?
I am not very prepared. I had a million things. I was like, yeah, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get that done. It'll be great. I've started everything. I've just not finished a single thing.
Yeah, no, I haven't done anything that I wanted to do. I haven't done anything. I washed my gambeson, and yeah, I haven't even put that back together yet after washing it. I was supposed to be doing my shield. I haven't done my shield. Yeah, and it's still in pieces in the in the garage. But I think I can get it done, possibly.
Maybe. Like I was the same though, because I was like, after E2, when we first came back, I was like, right, we're going to be really organized. So we've got everything we've just taken out the van. We're going to wash it all. We're going to fold it, label it, put it in the room. So when A3 comes around, we just put it straight into the van. I've done none of it. I mean, I've probably put ourselves in a worse state because I have washed some of the things, but I don't know where I put them.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a big clear out. One thing I have been doing to prepare that I feel more prepared for is I've been kind of running and walking.
Yeah,
like three times a week. I've been doing like 5K walking, running, to actually get my cardio up, because usually I freaking hate cardio. It's like, it's the devil's activity, cardio. But I actually have an excuse to do it now. So usually when I'm running around, I'm thinking about this will be so much easier when we're LARPing, especially in this heat.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think we've both done a bit better with all of that this time round, and just kind of focusing on those sort of things. So hopefully that's going to prepare us a little bit more. Trying to think. I mean, I'm confident that we'll be fine because I've started quite a few crafting projects and I reckon I could get them all done. I mean, my crown's done.
Oh yeah, no, your crown looks freaking awesome. So this is the crown. Do you want to say what your crown's for?
Well, this is just my crown that my antlers are attached to, and I basically made it that my changeling character, that her flowers change each season.
She's mainly
sorry,
because she's an Eladrin.
Yeah, she's pretty much an Eladrin. Yeah. So I switched all her flowers round to these red roses instead, to sort of emulate that summer look that she's going to have.
Yeah. Well, for people who don't know what an Eladrin is, it's a race in D&D, and it's one of your it's literally Aranel, your D&D character is a Eladrin.
Yeah, it's a type of elf who can change depending on the season, or can change depending on their mood and so on. But each change is either autumn, winter, spring, or summer. So yeah, I kind of felt a bit inspired by that, especially when reading all the changeling information, and thought, well, she's really good. It's pretty much an Eladrin, right?
Yeah. I mean, what you could do with, it might be a bit of hard work, because next year, hopefully, you're going to be playing the same character, but you could almost do with 4 different crowns, couldn't you? For instead of changing it every single time, you could do with just a crown for each season, so that every time you go to E1, you just pick up your winter crown and do it that way.
I might do that because I really like the summer crown that I've just made. I'm like, that's nice. I don't really want to change it from there, so I'm quite happy with it. What I might do is exactly what you just said there, and experiment with a few other sort of things. I would need to cast some more antlers, but that's easy enough to do.
Yeah, it's just expensive, but getting resin, isn't it? If you have.
Well, I've got all the resin there.
All right, well,
I've got enough resin there to make quite a lot of those antlers, and then you can sit and paint them all.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it would be. I mean, what you could almost do, like, if you can maybe figure out like a detachment system, so you have like 4 crowns, you just take the same antlers off and move them around.
Could do, and I've thought about a few different ways of doing it. One of the things is using like neodymium magnets and so on.
Well, I wouldn't trust them in LARP.
That's the thing, and I know that quite a lot of our LARPers do use neodymium magnets for things. So I've been reading, I've been reading quite a few people have been using that as an attachment method, and I would use neodymium magnets, but I would need to get the right strength. The cost of getting the right strength of a neodymium magnet is very high. Yeah. So I was just like, by the time I spend the money on getting strong enough magnets, I may as well just cast them all.
It's the fact that you've got like long, because they're pretty heavy, because they're resin, relatively heavy compared to foam because they're resin, but also they're like long and thin, so there's like a lot of leverage on them, and then they're at the top of your head. I can totally see like Cambrian horns, which are like the goat style twisted horns. I can totally see like making a friction hold sleeve for them with neodymium magnets in there as well, so when you slot them into place, I can see them staying in. But yeah, antlers, I just cannot see staying in place with neodymium magnets.
I prefer the way mine are now, because what I do is I've got the mold for the antlers and I pour the resin into it. Then I get thin wire, like gardening wire, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I push that into the actual mold. So there's 2 pieces of wire coming out of the base of the antlers. Now, the good thing about that is that that's how I attach all my crown. I've then attached those onto another crown that I've made, and I've got hair extensions covering the wiring. So last time, I didn't use any attachments to attach my crown to my head like I normally do. I normally use lots of like bobby pins and I sew it into my braid.
Yeah. This
time, I literally just used, because I've got 2 clips, like hair clips underneath, I literally just clipped it in and did a rough like pleat through my hair, covering some of the wiring. That was it.
Yeah.
And it stayed on.
That's a braid for everyone not in Scotland.
Okay, a braid. They know what I mean.
Please.
Okay, come on.
Yeah. Well, it makes it easier for you to get like I mean, that's why I didn't want to go antlers, because antlers are like, you know, when you have your ears on, they are a part of your character. It's not as if it's like I guess it's part of kit, but it's not part of your character's costume. So it's literally just a part of your character. So you can't just like, if you're in character, you can't just toddle out without them. You know?
Yeah.
They have to be on you all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I was thinking as well when it came to a couple of things with what I want to do this time, because I want to do the Black Knight stuff this time. And I was like, well, if I'm doing the Black Knight stuff, I can't really wear a helmet over antlers. My character has antlers, so they kind of need to be there. So I've got myself a black veil. But what I might actually do is create almost like a hat that's going to go over the antlers. And I'm going to use, because I've got black fabric, and I'm going to create that so then the veil goes over that. So that way it'll just look like you wouldn't be able to see very clearly what's underneath, but I can see out.
Yeah.
I might use like eyelash glue or something to hold the veil in place around certain parts of my face so that it just stays perfectly. And then I need to sort out, I mean, okay, there's some stuff on Amazon that I've wanted forever, but never had a reason to wear it. And it's like this sort of medieval looking tabard with these faux leather panels on the front, and it's all black and it looks really cool. And it's one of these things I've always looked at and gone, that's cool, but I have no reason to purchase it. Whereas now I do. I could just get it and wear it over my chainmail, black trousers, boots, done.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I have a pair of black. Well, I suppose you're going to be okay for black trousers, but I have some black LARP appropriate trousers that I got married in that I'm too fat to fit into now.
I could borrow those.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, so that they're in the wardrobe there. So you make sure we take them because that'll look quite good.
Yeah, that probably look better than what I've got actually.
Yeah.
That'd be really good. Yeah. And another thing that I've got this time is boots. So I wanted boot covers because I'm wearing a dress or skirts or leggings, the boots look a little bit strange at the bottom of my legs because they're like walking boots. And I wanted covers that would go up to my knees. But boot covers are quite pricey. And because I'm not 100% committed to the look that I want there, I didn't want to spend, 150 quid for a nice pair of boot covers. So I've literally got a pair of brown boots, like knee-high brown boots that are really uncomfortable. They're cheap ones from Amazon. And I've cut the actual shoe part off in the bottom, and I've made the leg part into covers to go over the boots.
Yeah.
So I think that would look cool.
Yeah, I'm sort of worried about if it is as hot as it has been, because boots is one thing, because I've got a really good pair of walking boots that I splashed out on at the beginning of the season, because I was like, these are gonna do me for a long time in LARP, and they're perfect. They're brown. They go with all my kit.
Yeah.
But they are thick leather walking boots, which I'm not averse to wearing in the heat, but they're probably not the best. I was actually worried at the beginning of the year, I might need an extra pair of boots just in case it's really muddy, and I don't want to put those back on. But now I'm worried, they might be a bit too heavy and sweaty for this time of year. Maybe just wear them for the battle, and then maybe just try and find another pair of appropriate shoes. But
because you were looking at a few, weren't you?
Well, yeah, as well, yeah. So, one of the things I had for us to talk about was we went to the Chucksbury Medieval Festival. So, and it was hot there as well. So, for those of you that who don't know about the Chucksbury Medieval Festival, the history behind Chucksbury, it was a battleground, Chucksbury, for a battle that took place as part of the Wars of the Roses, between the Lancastrians and the Yorkists, and it was a very historically relevant, or very relevant for that kind of historical storyline. I'm not a great history buff. I like all the swords and armor and things like that. But it's like the Wars of the Roses is very it's basically real life Game of Thrones was very much heavily influenced by. So every year they have a big festival, and they do the reenactment of the Battle of Tewkesbury. But it's last time I went was 9 years ago. Actually, maybe closer to 10 years ago. Actually, it's either 9 or 10. So a while ago. And the first time I went, it was the weather wasn't great, and it was actually relatively quiet. This year there was so many people there.
Yeah, there was a lot of people.
It's it's one of the biggest reenactment festivals in Europe, or so they keep saying. But anyway, I've kind of segued into that. But they had stalls there, so it's like a big medieval, I want to say medieval market, but not really. It's people selling LARP and reenactment gear, and all sorts of other bits and pieces. And I was looking because it was so hot, and that's what's made me worry, because we basically went in kit, didn't we? So I just went in a shirt, my LARP trousers, and my walking boots, and even just those 3 pieces of clothing, I was sweating, and I'm like, if it's like this Empire, because they all had the canvas tents like we have, and there was no escape from the heat in the canvas tents.
Yeah, we were like going in there, and it was like we were going into the tents, and that's why like since then I've been researching ways of like cooling a canvas tent, and everything I've found so far is quite basic, although like one of the things, so basically the issue is actually just when we're standing in there. I think we'll be fine sleeping in there at night, because I mean we are outside, we should be fine, but it's more like getting changed and things like that that's a bit of a struggle. I might end up doing exactly what I did last time, where in the morning while you were like serving coffee and stuff, I took all my makeup stuff over to one of the portaloo things, because they're quite a decent size and they had mirrors in them. And I was like, so I did my makeup there so I could stand up and not die of heat. So I might just do that.
Yeah. I feel like we should maybe organize with a couple of other groups on the field in Dawn for an outdoor area for getting ready. Like, it would be worth one of us taking a full-length mirror. Literally, because it is a pain in the ass thing to take, a full-length mirror, because obviously it's fragile and it takes up room. But yeah, if we would go right, if somebody brings a full-length mirror and we set aside a space for it, because there's a few of the houses that have quite a big, they almost have like a courtyard area, or underneath a gazebo, or or a marquee. And I'm like, I feel like if there was like a communal area that people could get ready outside, because you go in those, because even I didn't have to do anywhere near as much kind of makeup and prep as you, but just walking in to like stick some gel in my head, get out my face, and putting my ears on and then putting my trousers on, it was tough last time. That was when it was relatively hot. But if it's hot as it was this weekend, I'm not going to be able to stand being inside the tent in the daytime. No way.
Yeah, I mean, the issue as well, when I got the ears and the antlers on, it's quite complicated to put the whole kit on after that. So I kind of need to put the kit on first, but then I'm standing in a full set of kit in a hot tent.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of going a bit more minimalist when it comes to like, I'm trying to cut down as much as possible on what I need to actually do to get ready. And yeah, I had some fantastical ideas on what I wanted to do with like makeup and hair and everything first going. I have cut that down by like half. I was doing, crazy eyeliner and eyeshadow and different things the first at E1, because it was kind of cold and it was easy to do that.
Yeah.
But last time it was so difficult. I've cut everything down so much, and I've literally got an appointment at the beautician's on the Wednesday before we go, so they can do everything for me.
Yeah.
And I will just be, I've got like a thing to sleep in that curls my hair, and I'm just going to be doing that again this time, because the first time I spent so much time trying to get ready. And that's the other thing, is I don't want to spend so long getting ready. I want to spend the time actually being in character and out doing things.
Yeah. Well, so it looks like this time, well, we've got our place on the field now for, the camp planners have released the plan, and we're going to head there Thursday this time. So we'll be one of the first people there. Yay. As opposed to last time we were one of the last people into the camp, which was a little bit tricky because we were right on the Glory Square. And we had to we had to try and make sure we weren't upsetting people by like jamming ourselves in there. But this time, hopefully, we should get there and because we're at the end of the row next to the Glory Square again, woohoo! It should make it easier if we're there early, and then everyone can everyone who's below us and on the side of us can stack around. We're also next to our testing house, Desandras as well, so
yes.
that'll be fun. And again, we're on the Glory Square, so we won't miss anything. Super exciting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we should be pretty easy getting set up there. We'll have to see what time Sanders are getting there at, and then we can set up together. We can create a nice welcoming space. We're pretty much where we were last time, but just the other side of the road.
Yeah.
So we're going to be able to see all the action as it comes in. I think we'll still try and be as communal as possible and take all the chairs and things with us and different things for people to hang out around.
Yeah, we don't really have much extra to take this time, really.
No.
I mean, I still haven't got another coffee pot. That's one thing I definitely need to.
Yeah, I need to order one.
Yeah, well, I don't know whether I want like another small one or like just splash out and get a big one and then try and sell my smaller one. I don't know what to do.
I think you should get another small one.
Yeah.
Because
have a rotation going.
Well, that's the thing. You can have a rotation going. It's a little bit easier to make that. Plus, you've already kind of like cracked down how to do it in that size of container.
Yeah.
So get a small one. I'm going to get like some like stuff for tea and things so that people can have some like nice fancy tea as well.
Yeah.
And yeah.
The combat opportunities came out as well. So for people listening that aren't don't know much about Empire, God, I feel like I barely know anything about Empire, to be honest. But just so you know what I'm talking about, the game kind of is living in between times, you know. So when the players do their thing at the summits, we all go home as players, but the game carries on, and the Profound Decisions, the company that run the game, they come out with story arcs, storylines that come out. It's basically lore segments that they release. So there's the Winds of War, Winds of Fortune. They're just basically like they're basically like blog posts they put on the wiki. But attached to those to some of them are information that will affect gameplay next time. And with one of them, they've recently released the battle opportunities. So if you've listened to our episodes where we've talked about the War Council, the War Council has to decide which opportunities to take on which days. So, but they have released them, and it looks like there's 2 opportunities against the Druge, 2 opportunities against the Jotun. I think, I'm not going to be totally predictive, but there's a good chance we'll probably end up fighting the Jotun because we're Dawn, you know.
Yeah, no, that's what it's looking like anyway. But we'll see. I mean, like I said, we fought Sunday last time, so like you were saying, it's looking like most likely going to be like the Saturday this time.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Well, yeah. Sorry, I didn't even say that. Yeah, the Druge so the Druge is on the Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then there's 2 different opportunities to fight the Druge. There's one in the Barrens and one in the Zenith, which is where we were last time, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, also there was a big campaign push to retake the Barrens, which is like a piece of land that lots of people have a claim to, including Dawn, and it's overrun with Druge. And our campaign has been pretty successful. I think we've retaken half of the Barrens currently.
Yeah.
So I imagine we'll all be pushing. I imagine that because it's Varushka and Dawn. I think there's like Leaguish mercenaries as well that have headed in there. They've literally just used all their armies to get in there, and I imagine they'll all be pushing in the military council to do the Barons one. So we'll see. My prediction is we'll be fighting in the Barons on Saturday. So we'll see if I'm right.
I think you are right.
Yeah, I'm happy fighting the Druge again because I enjoy fighting against them.
They are quite fun to fight against, I must admit.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll be happy because then that'll mean it will be Saturday. So that'll be like a little switcheroo from what we did last time. But yeah, going back to the Chucksbury Medieval Festival, it was interesting because we saw a lot of people that we've met hanging out. It's one of our local things. That's why we went to it now. But yeah, we saw some Empire people there, some people that play the game with us, and there's a little bit of a crossover with reenactment and LARPing.
Yeah.
But this is the first reenactment that you've seen, Robin. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really too sure what to expect, to be honest. I really enjoyed it. I thought that, like, standing there watching it, I thought it was quite exciting anyway. I really liked when the archers were firing. I just thought that was just like such an incredible display, and it looked so deadly without being deadly, if that makes sense. I loved, obviously, when they had the cavalry out and when they were doing everything there. I thought that was the most exciting part, and I was like watching that being like, how cool would it be to be like on horseback and to fight with a sword on horseback? That looked really fun.
Yeah, the horses did well because they only have that. They basically had like 6 horses there to represent an entire cavalry. You know, 'cause
Yeah.
it's basically, even though it's a massive reenactment for people all around Europe come to it, it's still, you know, they still only represent like a fraction of the actual armies that fought each other. It's weird. I might want to give it a go one day because obviously one thing that you brought up there is that you watch it, and I think that's maybe one massive difference between LARP and reenactment is reenactment is usually observed.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's usually observed, but I guess it's observed. So LARP, you don't really want it to be observed. I don't think it's observable, is it? Because it's.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, I've seen some footage of LARP, and yeah, it does look a bit cringe. It's because there's no flow state in LARP. That's the thing. It's not as if it's because you're kind of going in and out of character, and it's just you're kind of jumping into these moments as your character. And I've heard people say it doesn't translate to camera. You know, photographs is great at camera, and I imagine watching it is the same.
Yeah, because I mean, like, one of the biggest differences is obviously the reenactment. There's literally announcers and presenters there describing what's actually happening on the field, like saying who is fighting whom and why they're doing it, and naming the different people or the different historical figures as they enter the ring, and describing what they're doing, why they're doing it, and where this leads to next.
Into the ring.
The ring, sorry.
The WWE wrestlers.
Oh
now.
my God. The battlefield, the ring. I mean, none of us were actually there. For all we know, they had a ring, okay?
Yeah.
Now everyone's picturing knights in full armor entering a ring. I'm actually just picturing the scene in Shrek now with the
music.
chair.
I know, yeah. That's right.
The chair. Yes.
Yeah, so there's like a performance aspect to reenactment that I hadn't really thought about before, because you're like, oh yeah, no, you actually have to, you know, you're acting. Yeah, I guess you're acting. You are acting as a character, even if you're just like a line fighter, you know. But you have to be conscious all the time that you're being watched, and there's not a script to follow, but there is a way the things have to go. Another big difference, obviously, is that, you know, they'll use real metal weapons to fight each other.
Yeah.
Which is completely different. That's also adds to the weight and the heat of things, lugging around those weapons. So they're all blunt, obviously, but they're still made of, you know, iron and steel, and you're still getting clattered with them.
Yeah, they're still heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I'd like to try everything at least once. And although reenactment is not something that I've ever actually been overly interested in, until recently, LARP was also something I wasn't really that interested in. And there was a time I wasn't really that fussed about D&D. So I definitely would like to try reenactment at some point in my life. I definitely would like to learn how to do the horseback stuff, because that just looks like so much fun. And I think it's just a cool experience and a cool thing to go out and do, I guess. But yeah.
There seem to be a lot of I think we spoke to someone. They were like, a lot of the people who are in the marches in Empire go to that reenactment, because the marches is very like ye old England type thing, and a lot of I saw a lot of people in their reenactment kit, and I was like, you could totally that's literally just marcher kit, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's good if you're like if your LARP character does have a similar aesthetic to something like that, meaning that you don't actually need to change everything to be able to go and do that. Because I mean, with all these hobbies, there is a big cost involved, and my understanding which is very low when it comes to reenactment. But my understanding is that the cost potentially can be a lot higher, simply because items must be historically accurate. And therefore, you can't really have your own vision in mind. It needs to be what you've been presented with. If you're being a certain type of fighter, or if you are being from a particular area, there isn't really that leeway to potentially get things for a bit cheaper. But I could be wrong, because I've never really looked into it.
Yeah, I mean, for that, to be fair, that's my understanding as well. So I feel like it's because we came into LARP through like cosplay.
Yeah.
I feel like that's actually one end of the spectrum. It's like the opposite end of the spectrum to reenactment. I feel like reenactment, cosplay on completely different, and LARP is like in between. You know,
yes.
it's kind of very much
I'd
in
agree,
between.
yeah.
Those. That's what it feels like anyway. So I feel like it would have been a bigger jump to go from cosplay to reenactment, because then you have costuming as well, because that's another one, because you have costume groups, for example, like, you know, the Imperial Legion, the 501st, and not Imperial Legion, the Rebel Legion, the 501st. And you know, you're trying to get movie accurate costumes to then go off and do you know, they do a lot of charity work, and they obviously just wearing the costume is the activity as well. And then you've got reenactment, which is you have to be, you know, I guess it's a similar thing. Everyone's very focused on, right, it has to be this type of fabric, it has to be this type of dress, it has to be this type of helmet. Whereas LARP, you've got a massive leeway.
Yes, I mean,
it's fantasy.
Exactly. Well, the LARP that we do, we have got quite a bit of leeway within there. I guess it would be rather different if you were, you know, potentially doing like sort of a Western LARP or something like that. Yeah. I guess you get these sort of similar things where you have a bit of a brief to stick to. But then, like you said, when it comes down to specific materials and things like that, it can be a little bit difficult. You don't really want anything full, if that makes sense. You wouldn't really want to have like a full leather jacket if they would have worn real leather, and so on, in a reenactment sense. But in a LARP sense, and especially in a cosplay sense, you can get away with a few of these sort of alterations.
Yeah. But even between like LARP and cosplay, I've looked at things completely differently now. So I'll look at someone making something for cosplay, and obviously it's cost effective, it's lightweight to make something out of foam, because people are making, you know, currently people are making like the armor from Thor, Love and Thunder, and all the characters from that, and you know, people are making it out of foam, and I look at some of it and I'm like, I prefer just I think now I'd be like, right, if I'm going to make that, I'm going to make it out of like actual leather or metal, or buy metal armor now to do cosplay, because then I can use it for cosplay and LARP. Not just, I've got this foam chest plate that looks like metal for cons, and I'm like, well, I may as well just buy a metal one now because I can wear it at a con, and I can wear it for LARP. So it's kind of changed my outlook on kind of costume pieces being in both hobbies.
Yeah, I mean, since going into LARP, I've sort of looked back at cosplay as a hobby, and yes, there was many things that I spent, you know, like a lot of time making and struggling with and so on. But now that I've been sort of in the LARP world for a little bit, when I'm looking at cosplay, I'm now seeing potential cosplays in a whole different way, almost less stressful. In a sense, I'm looking at things and I'm like, oh yeah, I could go make that. That should be fine. It's not like I have to have it, you know, LARP ready or anything. So I'm looking at it in a different way already. Yeah. I'm looking at cosplays that before I was like, oh, how would I possibly do that? And now I'm looking at it going, oh, easy, because I don't actually need to run around a battlefield
hot
in
glue,
it.
Yeah.
I can just hot glue everything. No one will know.
Hot glue and Velcro everything. Yay. Yeah. We're more than halfway through our Land of Vampires D&D campaign.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. How are you finding it?
I mean, you kind of screwed me over recently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I needed you to be invested.
I was invested.
I know, but
I was happy.
Even more
content.
invested. Even more invested. You know, you want to. How dare I make you dislike the villain in a campaign setting?
I mean, I just want to burn your world down now. That's currently how my character is feeling.
No, I mean, you haven't. To be fair, you haven't been that bad. So you've still been pretty reserved. Actually, Annalise has been extremely reserved throughout the whole campaign. Actually, I've been surprised.
I know. I don't actually want to like be mean to you, but you know, now
it's not me. It's not me. It's the NPCs. It's the characters and their homes. It's not me at all.
She's a nice character. She's friendly. She's lovely.
Yeah. I thought the thing is, but that's it. She's chaotic, but only in what? How am I trying to describe this? Yeah, I mean, she's chaotic in her actions in combat, but not to the extent of like I'm never like, why the fuck did Robin do that? Like I never do that with Annalise. She's not chaotic in that way.
I think that's a misconception though. I think that's the thing. Like a lot of people, they think, oh yeah, I'm going to play a chaotic character and think that chaotic is, you know, oh, I'm just going to, as the whole group are heading over in this direction, I'm going to turn around and run into the dangerous woods that we just escaped from. I don't know. Like, I think that's how I feel people think, you know, chaotic, you know, but I think an actual, I think a true chaotic character will do things that others would not find totally logical. For example, finding a mimic and making it your pet. You know, that's a chaotic action to do, but it doesn't destroy the game or break anything.
Yeah.
I mean, she did release a fire elemental into the woods.
Yeah, that's right. But then the thing is, that that could have been seen as a lawful action because it was.
It could have. He was trapped.
It was a trapped elemental, possibly being kept there, not of its own free will. It seemed to be trapped in some sort of, force field, and it was released. Then it didn't attack you. It just left. So
I mean, I reckon because there's like 4 ancient sisters and there's 4 locations, and so far I found 2 elementals rather different from one another. I reckon there's 4 elementals and they have something to do with this, and I've just released one of them.
Wait, you found 2 elementals?
Yeah.
What was the other one?
The gargoyle. You told me it was an elemental. You told me it was like an earth or stone elemental.
No. So our gargoyles is
obviously it's not important. You forgot about one of the elementals, so never mind.
No, it's not important. No, well, I'll clarify because I think you cast detect evil and good.
Yeah.
And that showed up what their creature type was. So your like Annalise is a humanoid, even though she's a half elf, she's a humanoid. Whereas a gargoyle under its little thing, it says elemental. It's not
okay.
earth. It's not an earth elemental. That's just that if you go to the monster manual and look up gargoyle, it says gargoyle, and then underneath it says elemental. So that's just the creature type.
It's fine, and I know it's not important, so I won't spend time on it.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I would have steered you away from that. I would have said, to be fair, if I hadn't explained that now, I would have explained that in game.
Fair enough.
just to save you being like, oh, let's go speak to the gargoyle.
Oh, it's the gargoyle.
Yeah. Also, yeah. Earth isn't really one of the elementals, and one of the Fanes.
Well, because you said like field, I'm like, oh, field, earth, sure. Then mountain also is earth, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And river is also earth.
Well, river's water. It's not earth.
Yeah, it lives in the earth, the water.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So yes, we've been playing a lot. How are you finding playing, like duet D&Ding on stream?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like I kind of forget. No, in a bad way. I kind of forget the stream's there. Actually, yeah. I kind of like really quickly just zone out of the fact that there's even a stream going on, because obviously we're not really interacting with chat or anything during a D&D session. So it's easy to forget that they're even there and just be immersed in the game itself. I don't really think I do anything differently.
No.
What about you?
Yeah, I think the tricky thing about running a one-person D&D game on stream is nothing to do with running a one-on-one D&D game, it's actually the stream that makes it a little bit tricky, because if I'm DMing for several people on stream, then, or just in general, I've got lots of time as the DM, if because I can just get people to like talk amongst each other, and while the players are discussing, oh, we need to go here, we need to go there, and me as the DM being like, crap, they're thinking about going there, I haven't got any information on that area, I'll just quickly sneakily look it up while they're talking. I don't have that luxury where we're doing one-on-one on stream, because if we were playing one-on-one at the house, I would just say to you, oh crap, I can't. You go, oh, I want to know about this part of the land, and I'm like, do a history check, and you do a real high history check, and I'm like, hang on, let me just, I just need to go read something, and then I'll come back to you, and then we can just like,
Yeah.
then you just like, yeah, go get a drink or something like that. But because we're on stream and it's constantly going, that's a tough. I've got to be like reactionary all the time. That's why we like do shorter sessions as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why as well, when I know if I've like started a spell and I know you're gonna need to look something up, I tend to try and then go ahead and role play something that you don't need to hear, like something that's not, you don't need to actually read checks or anything, even if it's just something daft, like Annalise playing with a mimic or something in the background.
Yeah.
So I can describe that while I know you're getting your giant spider stats up or something.
Yeah, I know exactly. And you've got to constantly be like, oh yeah, no, I'm just doing this, I'm just doing that, especially when you're doing it for, it's going to go out on audio as well. And you're like, all right, and yeah, we can't just have like dead space in a D&D game.
Yeah.
Which I don't think people are that bothered by, because they know it's a game, but so many people passively absorb D&D games now as entertainment, and yeah, one of the big things is people watching these streams, especially when they've got like actors on them and things like that, and they're almost expecting like a TV show, so
Yeah.
you got to remember not to put too much pressure on yourself as well, and be like, okay, we are putting a game out there, and it is it's a tabletop game. It's not, we're not doing a radio play, it's not, we're not performing in that way. It's slightly different. So I think people are totally understanding if you have to just go and look up a rule, or if you're getting confused, because I think the session before last, it was quite complicated because we were doing everything theatre of the mind, and it was getting quite complicated who was where, and trying to figure out without having loads of dead air, being like, right, and having it really clunky, being like, all right, no, let's hang on, what happened? Did you go first, Lara first? You just have to like move on and go, right, we're streaming, let's just move on.
Yeah, exactly. It can be a little bit complicated with those sort of things. I mean, theatre of the mind works great, but sometimes in certain occasions it's difficult to, especially if you've just like described, like, I don't know, you come into this room and there is an ogre, blah, 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 blah. Like whatever you're saying next, without, being rude, I do tend to like go and start reading my sheet on D&D Beyond, but like, okay, ogre, right, what have you got? And I'm like looking at that to be like, right, it's going to be my turn like soon, because there's not many of us. And then when it's my turn to go, I'm just like, shit, I'm pretty sure you must have just described where I'm standing.
Yeah.
But now I don't remember. And I don't remember, are there stairs? Is there a balcony? Is it in front of me? Is it below me? And then you end up like a constant, and I'm aware that I definitely end up getting you to repeat things quite a few times. And it's more just because I can't picture it yet.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Yeah, I tend to write everything down or sketch it down just to help me picture it, and that can obviously take a few minutes. And yeah, I kind of can like get a bit worried about there being dead air, but I don't think it's as bad as we think, because I think that if in your head you've not said it, sorry,
well, it's not, because I edit them, so I know we if there is, then I edit them, but like I very rarely do I have to edit like big chunks of just us not saying anything, because that's not what we do.
Yeah, so like when obviously we don't say something for a little while, in your head it can feel like a lot of time has passed, when in reality it's probably been like 5 or 6 seconds.
I think it gives you like playing on stream, especially if you try and keep up with it and you keep trying to improve like the stream quality and the game quality, and as the game master, obviously it improves your descriptive skills,
Yeah.
because you're conscious that, oh yeah, this is going on stream for a start. Also, I can't like show everybody a map. I have to make sure that I'm being clear in what I'm describing, and obviously if my player is like, oh, I don't understand it, I'm like, right, okay, well, that's an indication that maybe a lot of other people don't understand what I'm trying to describe. So it
Yeah.
sharpens your descriptive skills, but also as like just players, GMs and players doing the whole, right, okay, don't leave dead air type thing. Don't be like going back and going and arguing over rules and being like, oh no, wait, hang on, you were here and we have this action, and then we have, oh yeah, and arguing about action economy, because even if you're not streaming, I think that's not productive in any game, because I've seen games completely like break down for a whole like 15 minutes because people are talking about rules and where they were, and oh yeah, oh hang on, I was like, hang on, I was prone, and that should have been an advantage. Oh, but you're not in range. Oh, but yes, I was in range. It's like, let's move on. Let's move on. So I think it does. It sharpens those. I think it makes for better games if you are streaming and you're conscious of those things all the time, because no one wants to hear you argue about rules on stream. And let's face it, I don't think anyone actually wants to argue and listen to people argue at a table privately either. So it's all valuable.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that when it comes to these sort of things happening, because obviously at the same time as well, like if you're playing it, it's like it's your character, it's your D&D character. And if because of a mix up in confusion with a rule could potentially result in your character dying, I can totally understand when people would be like, well, I just want to be heard, and just be like, are you sure? Because this is my like long-term D&D character and they're going to die over something they shouldn't have died over.
Well, that's completely different. Yeah, that's
so I can definitely like get that kind of thing as well. Yeah. I think that one of the big things I've noticed that is a bit more helpful when there's descriptions to kind of as a way to kind of avoid like a lot of those sort of arguments. When there's a description that's clear to the mind, the shorter the description, the better, I think. Because even though obviously you want a nice big long detailed thing, but if you like beautifully describe the types of bricks around you within this fighting dome, by the time you get to actually where you're positioned, the information that you recall tends to be the little bit at the start. So I'm like, okay, I know there's bricks and there's some plants, and then I'd forgotten that you said there was a door somewhere. So it can like you kind of want to go minimalist without leaving nothing to the imagination. I think it's a skill that just is something that takes a long time to kind of bring about. And I tried running a game yesterday for two people who'd never played D&D before, and that was something I noticed just with them, because I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to describe it really well and everything. And I realized I described the scene like perfectly, gone to such detail. And I described like where like the enemies were. And I realized that by the time we got to the end of that, the players weren't sure where the enemies were. And I was like, oh, it's probably because I described so much else going on. They kind of went, oh, wait, which hedge did we hear the enemy speaking? And I was like, oh, okay, that's the information you actually want.
Yeah, new players especially, I think you need to be very concise and be like, okay, you walk into a room, there's a goblin.
Yeah.
All right, how far away am I from the goblin? He's in the middle of the room. You're at the doorway. That and just leave them to like, because the players will. New players will do this a lot, but just players in general will do that. If you go, okay, there's a fighting pit, there's a fighter here. Okay, how big is the arena? If they need to know the information, then they'll ask, and then they can build a mental model from there. If you perfectly describe the fighting pit, and then you're gonna have to do it again anyway, like you said, because people are gonna go, oh, hang on, how many like important information like. You're going to set the scene. Oh, there's loads of people in the crowds, and you can describe the crowds, and you can describe, oh yeah, the crowd is hostile. That's important information to go into the encounter with. But it's a balancing act. But it's great introducing new players to D&D, isn't it? I'm glad you got to do that.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I think like some of the important information that comes out of all these scenes and everything, or for me anyway, is that depending on who you're playing with or who's running the game, if you've got a DM who is very strict on like your range spells and things like that, and they're going to be really strict with, you know, how many feet away are you from something, then I think an important information that people need to know is the exact location of everything. Like is this enemy 30 feet from me? Is it 40 feet from me? Is the door, you know, how wide is the door? You kind of need to know all those details if there's going to be that strict. But if you're a bit more like, yeah, well, yeah, about 30 feet away from you, and you're not going to be like, you take out a hand crossbow, for example, as long as the DM's going to be like, oh, well, technically it's actually 35 feet away, so disadvantage, you know.
Well, that's the pros and cons of using a map, because depending on your DM, for me, if you know, if I know my player has a hand crossbow and they use it a lot, and I have in my mind, oh yeah, they're roughly 30 to 40 feet away, and they go, oh, I'm going to shoot at my hand crossbow. I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, you're going to need to move 5 feet to shoot it. You know, I'm not going to be like that, because you want the flow of the story, and that's what I meant. I did, but before, when I was like, oh yeah, you've got to keep things moving, I didn't mean, oh yeah, if people are like, oh, I'm contesting rules because my character's going to die. That's obviously, you know, that's not really what I meant. You know, I meant moving the play forward in a good flow. But obviously, if someone is down and they're on death saves, then the details obviously matter. It's when, oh, we all run out the door. All right, okay, well, how many? It's going to matter if I have like a portal to the Underdark on the other side of that door. Then it's important the marching order. But if it doesn't matter, then I'm just going to go, yeah, you all run for the door. I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, roll initiative to see who goes through the door, just for you to go through a door, and then everyone's like, oh no, and then everyone starts arguing, oh no, I was right at the back, and blah blah blah. Because it ultimately doesn't matter. But yeah, if there's a portal to the Underdark on the other side of the door, then it does. We can be sticklers for that, because, like you said, it's going to affect someone going through it.
Yeah, because if they say, oh yeah, we all run to the door, you go, right, you all fall into a portal, then people are going to be like, oh, but if I saw him fall in, I wouldn't have kept running.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And those arguments can really slow things down. If it's rules things that people aren't unsure of, because it's quite quick to look up a rule, especially since I've got like D&D Beyond on the PC if I'm playing on the online. It's so fast to look up a rule. But if we're unsure, a lot of the time I'm just like, you know, I'll give the player the advantage and be like, we'll look it up after. That's my favorite phrase a lot of the time. When I feel like the game is starting to like get stuck in the mud, I'll always just be like, it's fine, we discuss it we discuss it afterwards, you know?
I like that.
We never discuss it out. Usually, like, all my players, I don't think I've ever actually discussed it afterwards.
Yeah, I really like that, because it makes you feel like, if you're a player, it makes you feel like you're actually like being heard, and the DM's not just being like, well, no, I've said no, so we're going to move on, because you feel a little bit like you're treated a bit stupid as a player, and you're just like, oh, okay, cool.
You're being cheated out of something.
Sorry?
Or you're being cheated out of something.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas if the DM's like, oh, okay, like, we're kind of like come to a halt here, not too sure, we're going to just let this happen and we're going to discuss it later, then at least as a player you feel a bit more like, oh, okay, yeah, so they've listened to me, you know, we'll have a chat about it and we'll figure out how it's going to work for next time. Because there's a few rules and a few spells that I've used with several DMs now, and every DM treats them differently. I get that people have their different interpretations of the rules, but I do like to know what their interpretations of the rules are.
Actually are.
Yeah. And like a good one is obviously like cutting words, because rules is written. Cutting words is a tricky one. Rules is written. If the DM goes to, or somebody is attacked, you have to say that you're using cutting words before you hear the rule. But that causes a lot of frustration, I find. One, because usually you end up wasting one of 5 dice that you've got. And 2, if the DM doesn't remember you have cutting words and they instantly say that hits, you can't then use cutting words because they've forgotten that you might want to use it. Yeah. So that I've had a lot of frustrating moments like that in games. but I prefer just like, because you and I literally said to you, look, this spell, how are we doing it? And you've literally just been like, it's fine. I'll just say that it hits, and then you can just say if you want to use it or not.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, but it doesn't, like, after the first couple of hits, it doesn't make a difference anyway with cutting words, I don't think, because yeah, like if you know that how hard it's going to hit, or you know your ally's armor class, you know, it doesn't kind of matter, does it? But yeah, it's not as if you know every time you're like, oh, I'm going to cut words it. Oh, that's a 31 to hit, and you're like, crap. You know, that's especially in a one-on-one game. I'm not going to make you waste all your bardic inspiration, because I'm not trying to. Usually, if you've got a big party, then you know that is one thing that you might want to do is make them resource manage, because that's a big part of a big party. So as a DM, you might be like, right, no, I'm going to make them, because that's where the challenge comes in. So yeah, they've got all these real powerful spells, but can I challenge them in giving them all these small encounters and see if they're smart enough to be like, oh, or they could go, right, decision make, should I say, to be like, right, should I use this now? Or we might be fighting something later on. So it also mitigates that power level a little bit. But with one player, I'm not, and we're doing it, we like story, we're not grindy players, so what the hell's the point?
Yeah, exactly. I'm much happier when it comes to like a combat situation that we just kind of go, yeah, sure, whatever, that will work fine. Like, unless it actually results in my character freaking dying or something, which is why, like, obviously when we did the chase scene before, I was like, oh no, I really want to know what's happening here, because this is actually resulting in like a big thing happening.
I agree. Right. So, I think we'll probably do one more episode before we go off LARPing, and then we'll do like post LARP episode after next, I think. So yeah, I think one more pre-LARP and then after LARP as well. Excellent. You want to say goodbye?
Yeah, sure. Thank you all for listening, and see you later. Goodbye.
Yeah, see you later. Bye. If you enjoyed this show, make sure that you follow and subscribe, so you know when a new episode is posted. You can leave a review, you can share it around. It would really help us out, and we appreciate you doing that. And remember, you can catch us live on twitch.tv/2have_2roll. That's the number 2, and roll is into roleplay. Thank you very much for listening.